All right, we're out on an evening ride. Hit first gravel a minute early because we are trying to get going before the sun goes down. We're trying to beat sunset, which I'll talk to you about more in a second. But I got the new shoes. Woo! Look at that. All right, be right back. All right. Yeah, so I left with just enough time to get home as the sun set. And then when I took off, directly into a headwind for the first 20 minutes. And I had to put power down, you know, to stay on track. And doing that right out of the gate was a little rough. But it wasn't, because the time trials yesterday for the Tour de France, that was so cool. But anyway, it wasn't that rough because I already ran this morning 6 miles, so my legs are nice and loose and warmed up already. And then also at lunch, after I ate lunch, I went for a 20-minute walk around the block to keep my legs loose. And I actually have an update on that kind of stuff too. So pretty excited. Be right back. All right, I think I got most of the hard stuff out of the way. Good training and racing tip. Because when you got a tailwind, you don't have to work anywhere near as hard. Obviously. Because you're already going pretty fast. So save it. Yeah, that's quite a shock to the system coming right out and hammered hard into a headwind, but it's good training too. Like I said, I was already warmed up in a weird way, so it wasn't the worst. Anyway, new shoes. And they're about a size too big because I have wide feet and my feet hurt if they're not a little big. But then also, a cool thing to know is that I've discovered that if you buy your cycling shoes, this is kind of by accident, you know, like a size too big, half size too big. Well, your feet swell when you do all day stuff. So it gives you room for that. And then in the winter, it gives you room to put on thicker socks without squeezing your feet. If you have shoes that fit and then you put on thicker socks, it squeezes your feet and then you get poor blood flow, and then your feet get even worse with numbness and cold. And then you're like, well, what about summer, Coach Brett? It's like, well, you wear thin socks in the summer, and then your feet have this room around them for airflow to circulate. And it actually keeps your feet cooler in the summer. It's really wild. Okay, we got a little turn here. I'll be right back. So, like Zen, a lot of discoveries are counterintuitive. The opposite of what you would think. Paradoxes. They really make you think. And yeah, I thought that having more space in my shoe would trap air and make my feet warm. But no, it actually, if your shoes have ventilation, then it really lets air circulate in and out and lets your socks dry faster from sweat and all that stuff. Which reminds me, when I first got into doing ultra marathons, trail running, and I was shopping and talking with my friend Chris, who was already kind of an expert in this stuff. And I was like, ooh, these trail running shoes have Vortex, you know, and I've come from backpacking and stuff. And he's like, bad idea. You don't want that. I was like, what? It's like, whatever material is going to keep water out like Gore-Tex does. You know, it's like rain jacket material. It'll also keep water in. And if it's going to be bad enough, and you're going to be running long enough where you're going to get water in your shoe, or you need Gore-Tex to keep water out, water's going to go over the top of your shoe and in it, and sweat. And you're going to be running in shoe buckets of water, get massive blisters, and it's going to suck. And he was right. 100% right. There's a guy walking his dog. I'll turn the camera so we don't catch him on camera. And I asked, well, what about, you know, when your socks and stuff and your shoes get all wet? He said, if you're running, stuff dries out. I said, what about getting cold? He said, if you're moving, you're warming up. And most of these races have aid stations. And people put a second pair of shoes that are bigger because their feet swell, maybe, or they haven't collapsed under all the pounding of the miles, and extra pairs of socks anyway. And I was like, oh, dude. And he's been right. It is the craziest thing. And so I wear the same, I guess, mid-season summer shoes, whatever, year-round. And then I'll do the plastic trash or a grocery sack inside to cover my toes and the top of my foot as a wind block. Plenty of room, feet stay warm. Let's see, what else are we going to talk about? Oh, so now I have a second pair of cycling shoes. With cleats, so I can really put down power and train in them. I have ones on my tri-bike, but they're different cleat style, they're road cleats. And guess what we have at work? Like two, I think, spin bikes. So at lunch, I can actually take a break and go in there and do intervals with my second pair of shoes. And it didn't dawn on me that that would happen if I got a new pair of shoes. I'd be able to use the old ones for that. I'm super excited. I would have gotten these shoes sooner. All right, right turn. And I gotta say, I'm pretty excited the more I think about it. Of course, there's the idea of things, and then we'll see how it actually turns out. But what a great way to break up the workday. You know, people go work out at lunch, but this is super convenient. And then there's a dog over there, but it's not as easy. To do an interval set takes like 30 minutes total. And then I've done my second workout for the day, and I can come home and work on the podcast or a video or something. And then for the afternoon, you feel like so accomplished. It really wakes you up for the rest of the day. All right, we'll be right back. Cicadas. And also, what a great way to keep your hard workouts hard and your easy workouts easy. Do the interval stuff on the bike, at work, you know, on a trainer. Get it done quick. It's just like doing squats. Do like 3 to 5 sets to near failure. Or like, how's it going? For like 30 seconds to a couple minutes each. Just like lifting weights. A couple times a week. And then you can really enjoy the outdoor rides and keep them casual and easy. We can make videos and stuff. And on that note, I also figured out another piece of software. I'm always on the quest for trying to make this stuff super, super simple. So I don't have to spend time doing editing, and I can actually just push content out. Which reminds me, I found a YouTube channel, a British Buddhist monk, and it is incredible. His talks are so great, so I recommend y'all check it out. Be right back. Yeah, so he's very well spoken, and he sits down and records for almost an hour, sitting monk style in either outdoors or in a concrete building that's empty in Sri Lanka, which is off the southern tip of India. And I have a former intern that came from Sri Lanka as a kid, and he was talking about there's some snakes and stuff, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if he knows this, but she told me that place is full of cobras, man. And just the calmness and the sounds of nature. And a cat will walk by in front of him while he's talking about like a path to enlightenment. And then a monkey, and you can hear peacocks. The sounds of nature is just unbelievable while he's giving some really great talks. All right, yeah, so go check that out. And let me zoom out a little bit. About to hit pavement. British Buddhist monk. And yeah, next I want to talk about some logistics I figured out for filming this stuff. Let's see if we got a headwind here. We probably do. Oh, there's they're way back. All this I've been filming with one hand, by the way, and the last video too. In fact, a lot of the recent videos, one-handed. Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, I found a piece of software, you might have been able to tell, that allows me to stitch together video clips into one video really easily. And it's got to be easy. I work with software all day long. I know this stuff. If it's not easy, you're not going to use it. And then it's right on my phone. And then from my phone, which is real easy, I can upload straight to YouTube or Instagram. But then I've been caught kind of in this purgatory. Got a car coming up behind me. Where the videos are either too short or too long. And that software has a cutoff of 10 minutes. And if it's longer than 10 minutes, it won't let me stitch stuff together. So, we got a headwind here. I'll come back and tell you. We got time. All right. Look at that cloud. Oh, it's so cool. Water tower. Yeah, so if a video, the last video I shot was almost 20 minutes long. And about how to stop stress with patients. Everything works out. Well, that's a perfect length for a YouTube video, up to an hour, right? But it's way too long for a clip. But I could take clips out of it. You know, so what do you do? All right. There's a swimming pool just past that pond. I guess if you zoom in, you can see it's a gazebo looking building on the far side. Dang it. There. That's it. Right. Anyway. About 6 or 8 of us one time did a self-supported Ironman using that pool. 6 or 8 of us with no lap lanes. It's a 25-meter pool. No lane lines. And it was cold, so we wore wetsuits. I did flip turns in wetsuits. Yeah, so we did 2.4 miles there. Some people did a half Ironman. They did half the distance. And then we biked all around the south side. It's just beautiful countryside. I did 112 miles. I think we made about 4 aid stations out there. Or did 4 laps or something. And then ran the marathon, the 26.2 miles around my neighborhood on a 3-mile loop, using my house as one of the aid station. And then donated all the money we raised to charity. One of the like 8 to 10 times I've done that. Sometimes at a lake, sometimes in a pool. It's a lot of fun. But anyway, yeah, so I had the software has a limit of 10 minutes. So I had to break that video up into two, part one, part two, which you think it's not that bad, but then you gotta do all this editing and labeling and like titling and all this stuff. It sucks. This is pretty bad. Got a stop sign coming. I probably need to be careful with, so I'm gonna get off the camera. Yeah, so for filming this type of content, clips just seamlessly stitched together is definitely the way to go. It keeps people's attention. It goes with the natural flow of cycling and running. It's super easy to do. And so I was like, I think I have this other piece of software that's actually on my phone that will stitch together, because there isn't one built in with Apple stuff, that will stitch together videos. Unlimited length. And I tested it, and so far it seems like it's going to work. So I'm super, super happy. And then on top of that, two more things that's so cool is it saves it, of course, to the phone. And if it's in my photos library, that format, I can actually drag and drop into my podcasting audio software, and it doesn't have a problem with it. It goes, I'll just strip the audio off this video. Boom, done. And it's already kind of edited, because it's down to just clips. So I don't have to worry, I don't have to spend time editing. And now we've got podcast content, and you can listen to that. And if you want to actually go see, you can go find the video on YouTube for that portion. I'm so excited about that. And look, I beat the sunset. Oh, I got to show you all my watch here. We'll do it when I come to a stop. It's so cool. Yeah, so hang tight. It'll be a clip that we add on. But then the other thing is, I let Kai borrow my Insta360 camera for his last race. And I've been bothering him to get it back, and he finally found it and gave it back to me. There's a guy running, so we're gonna let him be off camera. And that thing has a remote. So I can just wear it on my chest or on my neck, however I want to wear it. And there's a remote that can go on my handlebar, and I can shoot video clips with the remote. And then I don't have to ride one-handed. And then we go through this whole process where I can save them, put them on my phone, and then upload them to YouTube, take the audio, drop it into a podcast. And I'm telling you, this has been a long haul trying to get to this point of figuring this stuff out. One of my nicknames for my friends is Tenacious B for Brett, like Tenacious D, the band, if you're too young. It's because I just do not give up on stuff sometimes, especially if it's software related or technique related. I'm like, I will figure a way out to get it done, brute force it until I figure out a process. Be right back, and I'll show you this watch face. It's so cool. And yeah, I've just not given up and just kept trying to figure it out and just be I don't know who those people are. I wave at everybody. I think it helps all cyclists. And be patient with yourself. Be patient. If you actually care about something, you'll figure out a way. If you really love it, you will figure out a way that works. But keep going for the simple. I'm going to do an entire episode, or I don't know, clip, whatever, on simplicity and how it is the target, the cure for almost everything, especially in a really busy modern society. You have too much stuff. So always be trimming down. And I'm going to come back here in a second when I hop off the bike so we can look at this watch. All right, check this out. See that heart rate across the bottom? That's over the entire day. And then it's got my time of sunrise and sunset below the 41 p.m. right there. But that's so cool. That high heart rate was from my run this morning. and then back down easy all day long while I'm at work. And then see where it's high right there is from my bike ride I just did. And what a really cool watch face. And if I touch any of it, it opens up that thing. So stick with me here. I'm going to touch the weather thing, the sun on the top right. And then I just touched it, and it shows me like the temperature and stuff. And I can, do I go up? Yeah. It tells me what things I can do today and the forecast for the next few days. I mean, it's like so freaking cool. And this is the T-Rex 3 by Amazfit. And I hit the back button. Let's see. And then batteries down at the bottom. Date stuff is at the top. Messages, current heart rates right there. And those are the things that I use the most. I don't really care about steps because I get in a lot of steps already. And then that's the resting watch face. I think I got it set to about 10 seconds or so before it goes to that. Anyway, all right. Let's go inside.